Hi, welcome to another edition of Shabbat Lounge, or Sabbath Lounge, pronounced Shabbat Lounge. Last week's Torah portion we studied in Genesis 24, and that was one of the chapters that we looked at. And we started looking at the life of Abraham and the end of Sarah and in kind of the beginning of Isaac's adulthood. And kind of leave off in the story. Right before this was um, the moment where Abraham nearly sacrifices Isaac, and so that's kind of how this story starts off. Is Isaac conquers death and and sees salvation, and this part of the story is about how Abraham asked his servant to go find him a wife from his relatives. And that's something, just kind of on a side note, is a great biblical principle for us to consider today when we're raising our children. Too many people uh, have settled and gone outside the camp, if you will, and marry people that maybe don't have the same beliefs and the same kind of structure that maybe your family has, and it causes a lot of problems if you don't marry somebody that already kind of thinks and believes the same way you do. And the Bible was real clear about that. That we should seek um, brides and grooms from good families that love the Lord and are trying to follow and do His will, and are seeking Him first, and are real serious about it. It sure makes our lives a lot easier when we do, but life doesn't always work out that way, as we know. But so anyway, so the story is basically kind of goes like this. Um, Death was conquered, and then this bride is being prepared, and so he prays. The servant does. He basically also he gets word that an angel is going to go ahead of him, and that if this lady comes out and she says, "Hey, I'm going to water you, and I also want to water all your camels," and we'll just stop and think about that. Like here in 12 and 14. Right after he prays this actually happens. This young girl comes out, and she had to be old enough to carry heavy jars of water. And some people say a camel could drink 30 gallons of water, and he's got a lot of camels here. So I mean, it's a tremendous task for her to go out and gather all this water and provide water for these camels. And she does. And so this is a long, drawn out process that she occurs. And then obviously it's she's the looks like she's going to be the one. And so he gives her a gold ring, and go, and she says, "I'll go prepare. I'll prepare a." Well, in 23, he asks, "Whose daughter are you? Please tell me where there is room in your father's house for us to spend the night." She answers, "I'm the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, Nahor. I have plenty of straw and feed for your camels." So there's a house prepared. The bride is prepared. And meanwhile, Isaac has disappeared. And, he's not in this story. And then, so they have this discussion. The father sees the brother, Rebecca's brother, was kind of the keeper, Laban, kind of the keeper of her, and he saw that she had a nose ring and bracelets, and he's like, awesome. He's excited about the wealth proposition that he sees, and he's like, yes, come on, I've prepared this house for you. When we all know it was probably Rebecca that prepared that house, but he takes credit. So anyway, basically this agreement is made, and this is going to happen. And so, like I said, Isaac's out of the picture. The bride is being prepared. He reappears when the bride is ready. And so he tells this story again, and so clearly, after she says yes, and it's all kind of done, she's going to stay 10 days and then she's going to go. And so she does agree to go. And then Isaac and Rebecca, that's when they see each other for the first time. And it's one of these stories, it's like love at first sight. She gets off her camel and she's like, who's that man over there coming through the field to meet us? And she took her veil and covered herself. The servant reported Isaac. Isaac took her into his mother, and he like immediately marries her. Done. So love at first sight, happily ever after. So kind of here is what I thought was interesting. So that Isaac basically we see this death was conquered, the bride was prepared, he disappears for a time, he reappears when the bride is ready. He needed the bride to do something to be considered worthy. So in other words, this task of filling the water jars, that was kind of what was required of her to pass the test. There was something she had to do. So wait a minute, you're telling me that we can't have greasy grace? Yes, I am. So there are things that we're required to do, just like she was required to do that. And so she was considered worthy. And this was an active thing she had to do. And it took a while. So later, you see this other thing. And later on, you see this well that they go to. So let me get. The other thing I want to point out here is that Rebecca doesn't recognize Isaac. And I think that this is all kind of foreshadowing. I've never looked at the story like this before, and I didn't originate this on my own. I was listening to somebody else, I think, and I don't remember who. But I thought it made a lot of sense that all of this could be talking about the bride of Yeshua. And that just like in the future, most likely when Yeshua does come back, most of the church isn't going to recognize him. And you can make an argument right now that most of the church doesn't recognize Jesus because they are looking for this hippie Jesus wearing John Lennon glasses, throwing up the peace sign, and he's like, peace, brother. Everything is love. It's all good. As long as we all believe in something, it's all good. And that is pretty much what most people believe. And you see the coexist bumper stickers, and so many people, they want to believe that we're all brothers and sisters here, and that it doesn't really matter what you believe in. As long as you believe in something, you're good. Well, when he comes back, he's not coming back as this hippie John Lennon Jesus. That is a antichrist that is taught. Don't fall for it. He's coming back as Messiah ben David, and it's not going to be pretty. I mean, there's going to be blood in the streets, and there's going to be judgment, and so you definitely don't want to be on that side of things. As always, thank you for listening. Appreciate comments, subscriptions. Thanks for listening to Shabbat Lounge.